And welcome to JFP Sports, where fantasy and sports talk lives. Well, today's another beautiful day, and on the 27th of August, we are wrapping up week 3 in the NFL of preseason games. Ricky P, he's back. D. Nanas, behind the glass, brother from another mother. Rick, your dislikes and likes about week 3 in the preseason of the NFL.
Right before we start, I just want to say that this summer has gone really smooth for us. I think this is probably the last one before the summer, as Labor Day is next Monday. So it's been a really good summer. We got a lot to get to. Since you asked me about my week 3 or overall likes, I'm going to start with the Browns. They're the team that's talked about constantly, maybe because of Hard Knocks or actually because they have a bright outlook, but the Browns have really impressed me.
And the Browns, their status in the world, I think, has been notched up. I mean, with the selection of Baker Mayfield at 1, having the Hard Knocks deal this summer, and having an actual receiver in Jarvis Landry, a talented player, along, I feel has brought some good attention to them.
Yeah, and just not even being close to it. If Dez Bryant was willing to take a meeting with them and they were willing to give him the money, I think they're willing to finally put their front foot forward in a free agent acquisition, even though he might not end up there. It's just a nice sight to say, we've got our pieces in place. Let's try to make a push.
Yeah. Also, too, your dislikes. What bothered you, or what you didn't feel good about?
2 major things. Josh Allen looks like he might be in trouble. I was never the biggest fan of him as a quarterback. He reminds me a lot of Jay Cutler, and he's got a big arm. I think
whiplashing it.
Yeah, he just slings it whenever he can. He doesn't look, very refined in any of his skills.
And that's what it was coming out of college. He was inaccurate at Wyoming. He didn't have a great rapport with his receivers. And, his pocket awareness, stepping up into the pocket, I feel that needs to grow as well, getting rid of the ball when you're supposed to, not making too much out of something.
Yeah, and I really thought this would be a big year for Kelvin Benjamin.
God.
I've always been on the record saying I like his ability going back to Florida State. But I think this might be it for him if
he's done.
If he can't make the most.
He can't even stay underweight, bro.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't wrong with what he said about Cam Newton when he came out, I believe, a week or two ago.
It's not even about being wrong. You just don't say that and have sour grapes after you leave a place. I feel like these guys just grow a pair when they leave a place rather than just telling him up front when he was there.
Right. It's easy to talk about when you're all the way up in Buffalo and he's back down in Carolina, trying to make things work. And his response was Greg Olsen was more than good enough when I was the quarterback. But my other main dislike is the Cowboys skill group. Their wide receivers look awful. No Witten, no Dez Bryant. Zeke.
They did a poor job of it.
You're right. They didn't get anyone. They didn't address the issue in the offseason. Maybe Dez shouldn't be there, and that's fine, but there were guys to get. Crabtree was available. He went to the Ravens. John Brown was available. Willie Snead was available. All came to the Ravens, which means one of them was available. I don't know where they're looking to. I don't know. Michael Beasley. I mean, Michael Gallup, the rookie. I mean, I don't know.
No one with experience enough to take on that number 1 role. I mean, you have an Allen Hurns there, Terrence Williams. Those are all boring, nice 2-3 guys.
Right.
But you don't have, I'm sorry to say it, a Dez Bryant.
No, yeah, and Terrence Williams wasn't even a great 2 as far as I'm concerned. He was okay. Yeah, he's okay.
Maybe a guy in a slot, catch a pass.
Yeah, he's fine. But I mean, and now the O-line is banged up. Frederick is banged up. Martin's still there. Tyron Smith is banged up. They gave 8 turnovers the other day against the Cardinals, which I understand it's 2s and 3s, but good teams have depth. And they showed me that they have no depth. If I know no Dak, no Zeke, but I mean, they're in trouble.
But what worries me about them even more so is We actually discussed this in the car going over some of our notes. And the best thing you could have in this league, a la the Rams, is a quarterback on a weak salary, and you just build around him with just talented free agents and a great draft class. Well, the Dallas Cowboys have Zeke and Dak, but it's not going to stay like that forever. They have to pay one of them eventually. I know we're heading into year 3, but just like that, it became year 3 when it was year 1 for those guys. And the window for them, I believe, is starting to close for Dallas, even though it was just open.
Yeah, I think their window might be closing a little bit more because of the emergence of Carson Wentz. And news came out today that Odell got his major deal, 5-year, $95 million.
Well, now you took away my dislike for the folks. That was Puma's dislike. OBJ getting 5 years, I believe $95 million, 65 guaranteed. Mm-hmm. Rick,
yeah.
What was reported coming down in the afternoon. I mean, listen, I don't mind giving the money out. It's not my money. But at the same time, that person has to be a CEO off and on the field for you. Has he done anything bad to, get arrested or get in that much trouble? No, but he has brought embarrassment, some of it, to the organization. And I believe a CEO cannot be that person. So I believe the Giants gave this contract out to please him and hope that he plays how he's played and not be. And there's another thing, too. Forget about the off-field stuff. This is a guy who's had 2 injured, when he first came into the league, a lot of people don't remember. He started late, I think like week 5 or something. And then just last year, he was out the whole year after week 2 or 3. So he's always had those hamstring injuries. And explosion players like that, Tyreek Hill, guys like that who can explode, home run hitters, Chris Johnson back in the day, they always have that hamstring injury. And I believe it's a concern. I'd rather have lived on the tag for a year or so, pay him the top dollar of that wide receiver, and maybe try to find a trade partner. Because in the end, when we get rid of Eli, we still have Eli's deal. Okay, say Saquon Barkley becomes Saquon Barkley. Now you got 2 megastars. What other players are we getting? Odell Beckham can't play corner. Odell Beckham can't play in the run game. He can't stop anyone. You have to hope that he gets the home run ball.
Well, 2 points. One, Saquon Barkley can't be Saquon Barkley because of the expectation. He is guaranteed to fail the expectations that fans have given him. Right. If he's not Jim Brown, right, he's a failure. Not his fault. We've talked about that. The other thing is, let me ask you this. That catch, the one-handed catch he made on Sunday night against the Cowboys, the catch heard around the world, was that the worst play to ever happen to the Giants franchise? And by that, I mean all the drama that's come along with it, the not lack of talent, because we know the talent's there, but the lack of production. We know he was offshore, the week before the playoff game, all the wide receivers went on the boat, came back. Odell couldn't catch a cold if his life depended on it. Aaron Rodgers took him to school, and Odell really struggled along with the rest of the wide receivers. So is that play more or less
worst enemy?
The worst enemy of not Odell, but of the Giants franchise in the long term?
Yes and no, because yes, that's a great moment for the kid. That's a great moment for the organization. That's always going to be, eclipsed in a top 10 catches whenever. And right there, he did the organization proud. Now, I say it doesn't in the long run because, like we just tapped into, it's his own worst enemy. He's living off that catch, living off his explosion, and that's what was in consideration of giving him this deal. Because of plays like that, Odell Beckham can take a 2-yard gain and make it 50 yards to the house.
Yeah, he certainly can do that. If I'm going to answer my own question,
that wasn't good enough for you?
No, it was fine. It was fine.
Answer your own question.
But you're a Jet guy, so yeah. I always question your knowledge on the other 31 teams.
Okay. Yeah, that was kind of like a backhanded compliment, but all right.
Yeah, your Jets knowledge is right up there with the best. I think it's the best thing that's ever happened to the Giants. The Giants have always been an organization that's very black and white. Very similar to New England.
New York Yankee kind of.
Yeah, very business. We're about business. Yeah. The Jets have been more of the backs Page type of
Brett
team.
Favre,
and
all that
I hate to
stuff.
say it, but the Giants are the Yankees of New York. The Mets are the Jets of New York.
Absolutely.
You think of New York, you think of the Giants, you think of the Yankees.
And I won't disagree with you.
And you're not necessarily thinking about the Mets and the Jets. In that respect, I think Odell might have made the Giants think about the way they approach things going forward. Other than New England, we can go back and forth. Everyone's got a star that might be a little brash, a little bit out there. And Odell.
So you're saying you accept the behavior
from Odell off the field?
Yes. I mean, obviously, because you're agreeing with them giving him the money, no?
I think he should have gotten paid, but I think it's a little bit too much. I would have said maybe 5 years, 80. I know that's doesn't seem like much, but that's $15 million. That's $3 less a year. Look, he deserves it.
But when you say he deserves it, are you living off the base of the fact that off that catch? Are you living off
the
potential of always taking a play to the big house? I mean, I want to see a little more. And I know it's hard to say, well, haven't you seen enough? Well, they went to one playoff game against the Packers where you're going up against Aaron Rodgers throwing Hail Marys.
Was hurt. Well, one of the reasons I like, and this is a way a lot of people don't think about it.
What has he done?
That is a great point, but I know guys like Antonio have done amazingly in the playoffs.
And if
Julio,
he's getting 19, what is Antonio Brown getting?
Right, and that's the thing.
30.
Antonio, if assuming Le'Veon Bell is gone, Antonio Brown, he probably will continue to be a Steeler because the Steeler Nation will go absolutely berserk if they let Lev Bell and Antonio go. And assuming Big Ben's getting up there, you're looking at a complete rebuild on the offensive side. So I don't think that's going to happen. But if we look at Odell's injury past, yes, the hamstring concerns you more than it concerns me. But you also have to look at it. If he's fresh and he is healthy, you just paid a guy who's proven what he can do. We know how much talent he has, but he also has proven it. He's got fresh legs. He hasn't played all the big playoff games. None of these injuries. Antonio Brown, we've seen get knocked upside the head. I mean, not that concussions are end-all, be-all, but Odell's never really taken a hit like that. He's pretty elusive, I think, for the most part. He doesn't take those big hits, except when him and Norman are going at it. So, which I think he's kind of matured past that.
A contribution to this is to the fact that Eli Manning has been a professional and been a great tutor for him and getting him the ball. Mm-hmm. A life without Eli, I think, would be tremendously worse than a life without OBJ. For the mere fact, OBJ cannot throw the ball.
For the fans or for the Giants, organization?
For the organization. And you could probably say for the fans because it's a trickle-down effect. If the organization doesn't win, it's horror for the fans.
Right, but Odell Beckham is box office. And what I mean he's going to bring you to the seats. I'm not going for Eli Manning. If I'm going for Eli Manning, I'm going for the team. Some people might actually be going just for Odell. Not that I believe marrying a kicking net is necessary, but he brings people to the game, and we've seen the dancing is allowed now.
They'll make more money off of him with the merch and
exactly. Yeah. So that's your biggest dislike. What is your biggest like?
My biggest.
What have you been most impressed with through week 3?
Don't call me a homer.
I don't want to hear about the Jets, so come up with something else.
Mr. Sam Darnold. I mean, this kid. Like I said, going into the draft, I told a lot of people, I'm waiting for the Cleveland Browns to mess it up. And you know what? I think they messed it up. I mean, certain guys are good for certain schemes. Darnold should have been a Brown, and I feel we stole him because looking at him, he is so poised. Professionalism to the top. He's learning from McCown, who's not like the best coach. You're getting $10 million a year just to sit on the sideline.
That's a good investment for the Jets. Let me tell you.
Absolutely,
$10 million.
Yeah, I want to keep him around longer.
Yeah, $10 million. We'll pay him to hold a clipboard. That's good for $10 million.
Hey, listen, it's not my money, but at the same time,
but it's a team you root for.
Yeah, well, this is why I play fantasy. So, so just seeing how Sam Darnold is carrying himself, making line adjustments, a couple of throws. Oh my God, I gotta actually touch on a point. You're gonna call me an embarrassment. But
are we gonna talk about the Terrell Pryor touchdown?
Oh, that was a great crossing route.
When the two tight ends hit the
perfect
double post.
Throw.
It was a good throw.
And there's some throw. And believe it or not, oh God, I can't remember this guy's name. He's the tight end, third on the depth chart. Third on the depth chart. Sterling something you Jet fans know. Darnold made an unbelievable throw, and it was actually week 1 of the preseason.
So he was playing against 2s and
Falcons.
3s, is what you're telling me.
But he still got to make the throw.
But that's all I got out of that.
He had to make the throw.
Did the guy make the catch or not?
He made the catch.
Oh, so
he made the catch. It was a crossing route. He's basically turning his whole body around. And for you folks out there, the hardest throw for a quarterback is going to his non-favorable position. So Darnold is a righty. So him rolling out to his left, changing his body around, his shoulders around, and making a pinpoint accuracy throw, I believe is one of the hardest throws in the NFL. And he did it with ease and quick release. I think I love it. And, I'm loving what I'm seeing.
So we have all of these likes, dislikes. Every time we do this segment, we always have to talk about the Jets.
I had to scoop them in there. And we're probably going to be scooping them in the next thing. Hey, you could get the Baltimore Ravens in there. I know they're not, we could talk a little bit Lamar Jackson.
I don't want to talk about Lamar Jackson.
Yeah,
I want to talk about the guy, if we're going to talk about him, which we don't have to because I understand that this is an all-sports show. And when we do the NFL, there are 32 teams. There's not just one.
No, I love actually talking about every team.
Speaking of all teams, let's play a little game.
Okay, we're going to play one of, this is a game established by Ricky and I. Go ahead, announce it to the folks.
Right, so for all of you fans out there that like to wager a little bit, I'm sure you know there's overs and unders that you can play at the beginning of the season. Las Vegas and their sports books come out with numbers anywhere from a half a win to 15.5 wins based on a multitude of things: team success, division, conference, injuries, etc. So what Puma and I have done, we've come up with, based on those numbers from Las Vegas, from their sports books, we've picked 2 teams that we like to go over the number set, 2 teams under. And what we mean by over-under is, for example, if a team is set to win 7.5 games according to Las Vegas, there will be odds over that number if you think they would win 8 games or more, or under. They would win 7 games or more. Every team has a number, some of which are what we think are high, some of which are what we think are low, depending on hype. The Dallas Cowboys and the Patriots always have higher numbers because those are considered America's teams.
Right.
So we've done a little digging. And I will start with my over. Speaking of the hometown team, the Baltimore Ravens were set at 8.
That's a dicey one.
The reason I like the number 8 for them is because this is Ozzie Newsome's last year.
Over under.
Oh, over. I'm starting with my overs first.
Okay. Over 8. Okay.
The Ravens have only had one bad season since Joe Flacco's there. It was the year they went 4-12. Everyone was decimated by injuries. But this defense, whether it's not the defense of 2000 with, Ed Reed and Ray Lewis and some of those guys, and then they got Haloti Ngata, but we talked about Eric Weddle and Tony Jefferson. Those were 2 big acquisitions.
Safeties are important.
C.J. Mosley looks like the second coming of Ray Lewis. They've got some guys up front, some younger guys. On the outside, they have we've talked about Marlon Humphrey before. We've talked about Jimmy Smith out there before.
Is Jimmy Smith still there?
Jimmy Smith is still there.
Okay.
So they've got some core guys that I believe can make a difference. I think 8, the way Joe Flacco has played in the preseason, if you were a Martian from outer space, I explained to you what football is, and I gave you 3 of the 4 games because the Ravens actually had the Hall of Fame game. So he's played in 3 games of the 4.
You like what you're seeing.
You have to be objective and say he looks pretty good compared to some of these other starting quarterbacks.
Okay, yeah.
I'm not just from what I've seen. So
you're going over.
I'm going to go over.
Okay.
What about your first team? And then I'll get to my second over team.
Okay,
Who's your first team?
Well, take a guess. The New York Jets.
Well, they should be 2.5.
No, yeah, I know. They're 2.5. The over for the Jets are 6.5. All right. Now this gets a little dicey because you can't get a push, folks. So you're either getting 7 or you're losing.
Right, and that was my disclaimer.
Right.
Ravens at 8.
Right, you get the push at least.
So you would get a push at 8. You
Right.
don't win, you don't lose.
But I believe, just looking at their record, the first 4 games, I truly believe the New York Jets could start 3-1 with their rookie quarterback, Sam Darnold. You could beat up on Miami twice. You could beat up on the Bills twice. Granted, we'll probably take one off the chin from the Patriots, but we were close in that other one, the home game. So maybe we split with them and go 5-1 in the division. Wishful thinking.
They're not going 5-1.
But Ricky brings up a great point about the Ravens. In this day and age, it's more about the defensive backs, if anything, in the NFL. You see how the Jets have upgraded as well. Defensive backs are everything because guys are going in empty sets. They're throwing constantly. The slot receiver is bigger than it ever been. The nickel back has to be great, even though Buster Screen can't cover,
The best thing about him is his
anything.
hair.
Yeah, really. So, he's... Yeah, I don't want to talk about him. I know his number because I'm used to seeing the back of his jersey.
Right.
But I love him at 6.5. I think it's a deal, to be honest, because if you look at their schedule coming out, towards the end it's rough. You got Green Bay, you got New England ending the season, but I love their schedule in the beginning and out of the bye, and I say they go 8-8, 9-7.
That's certainly.
What did you think about the Ravens? I mean, I know you picked the over of 8, but your prediction of what their schedule would actually be, like what, 10-6, 9-7?
Yeah, I'm just gonna say 10-6, and because I think this is gonna be really interesting. I think Pittsburgh is at that moment. Do they come together, saying this might be the last year we really have this open, or do they start to collapse, and knowing they haven't gotten? Because out of the 2 teams between the Steelers and the Ravens clearly have had more success against the Patriots than the Steelers, and that's not really all that close. The Ravens on their Super Bowl run, they've gone up to New England, have won there in the death trap that I call Foxborough. I think 8 is just too low for a team that has increased their skill position group at a tremendous amount. You have 3 bona fide wide receivers. Alex Collins came on last season. You've got Ken Dixon, who's finally back healthy off his injury from last season. And they've added 2 rookie tight ends who I think could actually be productive in the pass-catching game, similar to Todd Heap was in the past.
Yeah. Now, the emergence of the Browns don't scare you. You think they could handle them twice? I mean, it's a valid question. They are loaded with talent.
It is. I don't know off the top of my head where the game is at the Browns. I think at home to the Browns, it's tough to come into Baltimore and win anyway.
Right.
I think I'm saying this now, I'd rather have the Browns at the end of the season because I think the Browns come in a little too overhyped and they sort of implode. I don't want to play them on the road in September when all the fans are into it, the dog pound is pumping.
And they're playing spoiler. Most likely.
Right, at the end of the season. I'd rather have them at the end of the season when the Ravens know, look, we're probably going to be up for a wild card spot, and we need this one. Right. And at that time, they might be letting Baker go, or who knows? Josh Gordon's probably going to be out again. I don't want to face them at the beginning. Yeah. But my second over team, you're a big fan of this guy in particular, Deshaun Watson and the Houston Texans, 8.5.
That kid could play. Man.
This pick is solely based on him being healthy. If he's not, we say that all the time.
Rick,
but
you could say that about like 80% of the guys in the league. But I see what you're saying.
But
this hinders the whole
right. If we talk about Philly, I don't necessarily know if they drop off that much if Carson Wentz can't play for a significant amount of time. Right. Because Nick Foles has proven himself. I think Deshaun Watson, he makes them go. He's a difference maker. He's not just a thrower. He changes everything. So I like them at 8.5. Who's your other over team?
My other over team is the ones that share the same stadium as the New York Jets, and that's the New York Giants. I believe right now it's sitting at 7. I think that's a steal. They finished last year with, 3-4 wins? I believe they'll triple that. I think they're going 10-6. Easy. I mean, they open with Jacksonville, which I'm not a fan of. That's probably a loss. But then look at the games follow. You got Dallas, the Texans you never know. That's a toss up because I believe talent wise, offenses will be going back and forth. at Atlanta. Washington, home at Washington, I believe they'll take care of Washington.
That's a must-win.
That's a must-win. You're at 49ers, Jimmy G. I mean,
they could win that one, too.
They could win that one. Tampa's horrendous. I think they're going to be the worst team in the league.
The Giants, they have too many question marks. And question marks, I mean, I don't know what Eli's going to do. Right. The defense is hit or miss. I don't know how healthy Odell's going to be. I just Saquon live up to the hype. If everything is clicking for the Giants, I firmly believe the Giants can win the division. I really believe that. But they could also finish last if nothing is going right for them.
I say they hit it into high gear this week. Week 11 to week 17.
But it might be too late at that point.
Because if you look at the matchups, you have week 11, Tampa Bay Bucs. Week 12 is the hardest game, at Philly. But look what follows. Home with the Bears, at Washington, home with the Titans, at the Colts, and you finish up with Dallas, who probably will be out of it by then.
In Jerry Jones' world?
No.
It's in MetLife. If you say week 11, I'm just afraid that if Carson Wentz, assuming he doesn't play week 1, and that it seems like it's going to be it's a long shot. Yeah. Assuming he can come back week 2, they might pull away. The Philly, the Eagles. That's what I'm concerned about. It might be too late come that point. Even if they just right the ship, if week 11. Do they have their bye week before that, I assume?
Yeah, week 10.
Week 10. So you'd be if even the Giants can go 4-5, 5-4 going into that week 11 matchup after the bye, then I'm with you.
No, week 9, I'm sorry. One more.
Either way, but
week 9,
either way, right. They'll be playing 9 games. If they go 4-5, 5-4, I'm with you. If they're looking at, God forbid, 2-7, 3-6, all of a sudden I'm looking at it out west, NFC land, it's tough. Vikings, Packers.
Right. Well, for my sake, different. I look at it as just go 500, 8-8. It's in the bank
through the first.
No, I mean through the whole season. Worst case scenario.
Oh, go 8-8. Right. So if they're like 4,
if
they're 4-5 and going into that game, good. Then in your mind they look good.
Absolutely.
So let's look at our two unders.
And
right, you want to start? You want me to start?
Yeah,
we'll stay consistent.
Yes.
The Cowboys 8.5.
Oh, I'm on board with you there, my friend.
I hope you don't have them, so I want you to touch on someone else.
I'm on board with you, but
8.5. I think this might be a little home cooking from the great Dallas Cowboy fan base. I'm not sold on Dak, and I'm not sold on Zeke if that line is not what it's supposed to be. We talked about their skill group. I'm not going to dive into everything, but
I feel they're going to be very exposed.
Right. I just can't see this team winning 9 games.
And depth.
At 8.5, what you're telling me, if they're going to win 9 games, in my estimation, that means they're going 3-3 in the division about. There's no way that means, assuming they go 0-2 to Philly, which I think is very realistic.
I think they will, but
that means right. You're going to have to take both from the Redskins and split with the Giants. Redskins don't lose to the Cowboys twice in a season.
Very, very easily, I could see them go 1-5 in that division, just by having one Redskin win.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. So
for them, I
think
see
we're on the same page.
10.
Right. I just think realistically, what you're saying is for them to go 8-8, which I think is a pretty good season based on a lot of their injury health. We know what Randy Gregory is all about. That we don't know if he's on the field. Sean Lee seems to get hurt every season. They have Byron Jones made a boneheaded play last night. He's a freak athlete with 0 football skill as far as I'm concerned. So they're a mess all over the place.
They should have had Dallas Goedert. Tight end would have placed Witten, and his name is Dallas.
If Jerry Jones is about making a splash, which we all know he is.
Go get Mike Evans.
Well, I wasn't even going to say Mike Evans. Go get Earl Thomas.
Right.
If you want to, I think that defense, he doesn't just bring talent. What he brings would be a culture change. He knows how to win. He knows how to bring teams that are based on running the football and playing defense.
You got Scott Linehan. Right.
I think they can. I don't know if Earl Thomas would bring them to a wild card right now. What I do know is he'd be shaping you for the future. Who's your? So we're on the same page. Right. Who's your first under team?
Oh, my first under team, and I love this kid. I think he's going to be a phenomenon in the NFL. But it's my Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs.
What's their number at? I'm a fan.
Their
I'm a fan of the
number
Chiefs.
is 8.5, and I feel that's too high for me because let's be real, okay? Your first year, it's not Alex Smith. It is a 1.5 experienced.
So before you dive into your points on the Chiefs, are you saying you like the under because of the Chiefs' regression themselves, or because teams like the Chargers are going to step up? We assume.
Well, can I say both? Because I feel like the LA Chargers and Denver are ascending.
I think are both.
I don't think you have to worry about Oakland, but just ascending.
But even Oakland is not. If they're going to be last, which we assume they are, that's not the worst team to be last.
Right. That's what I'm trying to say. So that's a tough division. I think it's the toughest division, one of the toughest, both West divisions in the net.
Yeah, both West divisions
conferences.
Are pretty tough.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
NFC and AFC. But I believe a little West Coast bias here. I mean, the Chargers could take this division if they started out like normal people.
Right, that's the problem. They're always falling behind.
And first week I could see Kansas City slip one out. All right, they win by a field goal. They're in LA, but you know what? I'm just so banked on LA always messes up the end of the game. And what hurts me more is not even the progression maybe of the Kansas City Chiefs, or let's say Kareem Hunt, or having a new quarterback, but it's the defense. They can't stop anyone. They can't stop a nosebleed.
Well, we're looking at the schedule. I mean, real quick, if we just run through the first games, the Chargers, Steelers, we're not even going to say home or away, the Niners, the Broncos, the Jaguars, the Patriots.
Tough schedule.
I mean, through the first 6 weeks, we could look at the Chiefs, and realistically, if things don't break their way, you could be looking at 1-5, 2-4, and it might be a little too late to pick it up.
So, do I see them winning 9 games? Because that's what you would need to get 8.5. And no, I see them going 7-9, 8-8.
But can you see them go 9-7 if Mahomes is the real deal?
Yes, because it is a quarterback-driven league,
and they proved it last year.
It's just that again, there's nothing better than Wentz had it all last year. I could say Patrick Mahomes is going to have a Wentzian season, but to win games, Philly had a rotation of 5 guys just coming in and out of Chris Long, Graham, Vinny Curry, who's on Tampa now, and they had what's his name, Cox, the biggest Fletcher Cox.
And they also had a stable of running backs: LeGarrette Blount and Jay Ajayi, Wendell Smallwood.
Well, the
Darren
running backs
Sproles.
for Kansas City's strong. You got Spencer Ware.
But we know one of them's getting hurt.
Well, yeah, that's just their thing.
Right, Kareem Hunt and Spencer Ware. Right, and they let Sharkhandrick West go
to the Jets.
Right. No, but I think Sharkhandrick West is a decent player because I'm not a big Isaiah Crowell fan. I know you are.
No, I love him.
Right.
I love him.
But I know it might be a product of the Browns that he couldn't run.
Yeah.
Sure. But no, I'm on board with the Chiefs. They seem like they're going to fizzle out and be 5-11, or they might be 11-5 and take over the division. That's what scares me about them.
The only 2 wins I see them getting easily, and that's not probably even easy, is the Oakland games. Because Denver, to go into Denver with a young quarterback on Monday night, that's one of the Monday Night Football games. That's week 4. I mean, that's a hard matchup, and you have no defense. They're going to run the ball down your throat. I believe it's too hard, and I could see them either finish last or second to last.
So we'll go real quick. My second under team before we get moving, the Tampa Bay Bucs. They don't know what's going on down there.
Number 1 pick next year.
Yeah, they don't know. They might be the worst. 6.5. I don't know what. That's the number. 6.5. Oh. If you guys can make it to Vegas or get a bet down, I don't know how that team wins.
I feel bad for a guy like Mike Evans.
Who's your second team before we move on?
My second under team is the Chuckies, Gruden, Oakland Raiders. Staying in the same division with the Chiefs. I believe that division is hard for the Chiefs. What is it going to be for the Raiders?
What's their number? The
8.5.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean. It's the same 8.5. Think about it like this. The Chiefs have more talent than the Raiders, and I'm predicting the Chiefs not to win 8-9 games. What are the Raiders going to do?
Doesn't that feel like a division that everyone might be 8-8, 9-9, 7-9? Like, I don't see anyone really breaking away from the pack.
Chargers.
And the worst team might be 5-11, 6-10. They're probably all going to end up beating up on each other.
I think the worst team is going to be like you said, 5-11, 6.
Right, but if you go to the AFC East,
yeah,
they might be the second best team. Moving on. You had your fantasy football draft. I'm about to have mine. I'll ask you first. Give me a player or two that you think might be a bust or who's a little overrated, or at least in your draft or what you've been reading.
Right. I mean, just going with my draft and hearing shows and going by mock drafts, and like I said, in my draft, a guy that I saw consistently go off the board so early was Kenyon Drake.
The kid from Miami.
Yeah, the Alabama bruiser. It's like, come on. He had, all of 5-6 showings when Damian Williams had to get hurt. It was Ajayi getting traded. Damian Williams was next in line, and Williams.
But the kid is talented. You can't deny
but let's be real. Rick, Jesus, I'm forgetting your name. Everyone in the NFL is talented. Okay, your next running back is a dime a dozen. You know what I mean? You just have to wait for a bus. So I believe, and I'm scared. I am scared of a Frank Gore, a veteran in that backfield. He's like the candlelight that doesn't go out. He's like a light that just doesn't go out. I think
him being a Miami product, getting to go back to the Dolphins,
a lot of people like count him out.
I've learned to not count guys out like Adrian Peterson, Frank Gore, the lunch pail type of guys. Adrian Peterson looked great for the Redskins the other night.
Right. And think about it. When you're drafting these players, guys, you also have to think, okay, what's my game script going to be? Because running backs on bad teams usually do bad for the one reason only. Their game script is always coming back from games.
So unless they're pass catchers,
it's going to be throw. So where's the volume? Unless they're like a Christian McCaffrey, a Duke Johnson, Chris Thompson, if they're getting passes, and this is going by if it's a PPR league. If it's not a PPR league, you got to stay away from these guys. Yeah. So I believe just a guy like Kenyon Drake, who keeps being mentioned as this big breakout player, I think he's just overhyped right now.
Yeah.
How about yourself?
I've got two guys.
Going in the third round, might as well.
Yeah. No, I'm looking at both. I'm gonna go with Evan Ingram. I'm not a big fan of him. Tight ends for the Giants don't usually do that well in fantasy.
Especially with all the weapons they have.
Yeah, they've got Sterling Shepard and Saquon we know will be a part of the offense, assuming Odell plays all 16 games. I don't know where there's room for Evan Ingram, to be honest with you. I mean, he's not...
And people are drafting him high, too.
Yeah.
5th, 6th round.
Yeah, he's a guy that if I can get in the double-digit round, sure, I'll give it a go.
10, I'm taking him.
Yeah, I'll give it a go, but I'm not...
There's too much other talent.
Yeah, I'm not like in your 5th or 6th round, depending on how many picks you have or where you're picking. That's usually your second wide receiver or the quarterback-ish range. I'm not getting an or if a guy like Ertz potentially is still there, or a Kyle Rudolph, like a big play tight end, sure. But I'm not grabbing a guy like Evan Ingram in that spot.
Breaking news, I just want to let all you fantasy community people out there know. Puma has made 2 trades, and it hasn't even been week 1. Yes, the whole league hates me.
Yeah.
It's not even week 1 of our draft yet.
You know what? Before we move on to our NFC South breakdown team previews, the one thing you've got to understand about Puma, the way he plays fantasy sports is...
Why have a draft?
2 things. Well, right. The first one is why have a draft? Because the team he drafts, he maybe has about half the guys by the time week 1 or the first game or however you want to look at it rolls around. The other thing is, which I'm finding out in fantasy baseball, and I'm ashamed of it myself, he's still picking up players. I'm playing him this week. I'm gonna make the playoffs. It looks pretty easily.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm 7th out of 16. And he's still. There was a guy I forgot his name. He picked a guy up who I wanted. And I'm looking at him because on Saturday he was available.
Yeah.
I was waiting for Austin Gomber to pitch the day game on Sunday against.
Right. I think Nolan Ryan.
Yeah. Right. No, he's actually been pretty good, Austin Gomber.
I know.
And I forgot who it was, but Puma picked him up, and I was a little perturbed because he's out of the playoffs. His team's been terrible all season. Not at one point on paper, he's got a great team. If this was 2016, 2017, he's in first.
Yeah.
But no, that's one of the things
that you got to know.
Yeah, no, those are two little Puma things. if you haven't figured out, I'm much more the conservative guy. I'll make a move when it's needed. I'll make a trade when I think it's right, but I'm not the team I draft is a team I stick with for the most part.
You know, the sickness started getting to me when I started trading guys just to change my fantasy team name.
That's well, again, if I was in 14th or 15th like you, I'd be looking to make those trades too. For anyone who has ever wanted to get into a league with someone like Mr. Puma, his team has not been better than, I would say, 12th in our fantasy baseball leagues.
Wait, 1 year. This is the only year.
No. I'm saying this year, his team has not been better than, I don't even want to say 12, better than double digits in the standings all season. I'm not he started off poorly. We got to around Memorial Day, still poorly, started making moves. We're approaching.
Well, this is a 16-man league, by the way.
Right, which, I think is your mistake, and we might have to change it next year. But we get to the Midsummer Classic, July 4th.
Yeah,
that area
still shaping out.
Right, still poor. But no.
Just some guests we got coming in here.
Yeah, no, just wanted to talk to Dean Annis for a moment. But yeah, no, that's just a little Puma quote. NFC South. We have not gotten to the NFC South yet. I'll start it off. I'm going to talk about the Saints first.
The Saints come marching in.
The big question about the Saints, can Alvin Kamara and his group, his stable of offensive weapons, can they repeat another division title? I would like to begin by saying Alvin Kamara and that Saints group is really, really talented. Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to win another division. The team I want to pick would be the Atlanta Falcons. The team like the Saints, it seems like everything went right for Alvin Kamara and that team.
Did you just look at that touchdown that he did the other night? I mean, he looked like he was crisp.
He's ultra talented. I just don't think their defense is lacking still. I know they were pretty decent last season, but I'm not a big fan of the Saints this year. What do you think? Are you a Saints supporter or a Saints doubter?
I'm a Saints upper. I love the Saints this year. I think I have Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas on my team. I'm actually going double Saints.
So you need the Saints for 40 every game.
Yeah, I mean, it would suck if, he does a play action and it goes to Ben Watson. I'd be really upset. But other than that, I mean, I love the Saints. I think they're octane. And you know what's even better for them? The defense actually came around. They're not porous anymore. They're not the defense that you and I are looking at weeks ahead and saying, oh, I'm going to get this player against them. No, they are.
No, Marshawn Lattimore definitely is an up-and-coming star.
And now you got Marcus Davenport, who they drafted high as a pass rusher. So we'll see how they end up. But moving on, Atlanta Falcons. I mean, Matty Ice, paying him all that money. Now they're paying Julio Jones, who was, complaining to high heavens. Wouldn't come.
That guy gets a new contract every year. But,
right.
Okay.
But you see, that's what I mean. And there's probably, well, the real question is, obviously there's probably a little, setback. But going further, because they were learning a new offense coming out of the Kyle Shanahan offense, going to Sarkisian, who's more on the run with Devontae Freeman, can they sustain some success? Can they make the playoffs again? Rick, what do you think?
This is the team I'm picking to win the division. I think Julio Jones struggled last year, production-wise. I think he's out. I think he's going to be out on a mission this year. We know they can rush the passer with Beasley and those boys. Vic Beasley's a stud, kid out of Clemson. That's my pick. So how do I not say that they're going to sustain?
And you could actually say, arguably, they're one of the most talented rosters in the league, up there with Philly.
Yeah, they are. They always play down sometimes. They play down to the competition.
No, and a big guy in there who I love, what's his name? Jared.
Grady Jarrett.
Grady Jarrett. Gruden Grinder.
Yeah,
defensive tackle. That guy's a run stuffer. Reminds me of a Snacks.
He draws double teams, and he allows Vic Beasley to get some one-on-ones.
Over that zero technique, yes, he's a beast at stopping the run. So moving on, the Carolina Panthers, they bring in North Turner, which means a new offensive system. do you think Cam Newton is this an upgrade for him, or does this hurt him? I mean, you had Kelvin Benjamin out there saying he's inaccurate. In a Norv Turner system, you got to be pretty accurate. I mean, look at Drew Brees, look at Phillip Rivers, who have been in that system. Is this hurt or help?
No, I think this helps a lot. Norv Turner always works wonders with his quarterback, so I just expect him to do the same. I don't think the Panthers are going to the playoffs, but I think this is a nice little feather in Cam Newton's cap this season.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think who mostly benefits is Mr. Christian McCaffrey over the middle. Get him going places. I feel that Shula didn't do that and put him in the best chances to utilize his talent like Stanford did. So our last team, which we have to talk about, I mean, I don't even want to mention them because they were such a downer. You know why I'm so down on them, Rick? Because I was so high on them last year, thinking that they were going to win 9 games. They come out and win 5. Jesus, I never want to hear about them, but I got to talk about them because we're talking about the South, and they're the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Will Winston ever get it together?
He looked good in the preseason, though. That's the thing. I know it's not necessarily the end-all, be-all, but the reason why he was drafted was on our television screens through this preseason. Like, he's not a guy like Jamarcus Russell where people draft him and they're like, what did we get ourselves into? Like, right. It's more the off the field that concerns people. So
look, I
don't think the Bucs are going to be
I'm not going to get into it with them because they stink. Let's just be real. They make a trade for JPP. Okay. I mean, they're giving away draft picks when they should be holding on to them. That's number 1. Number 2 is, how about you guys take yourselves, all right? Listen up, okay, Dirk Cutter, if you want to keep your job. Take yourselves, call the New York Jets, and say, I will give you a 3rd and 4th round pick for Teddy Bridgewater. It'll be the best deal you ever did, and you keep Winston around. Maybe it motivates him. How's that?
Yeah, no, that's not a bad trade. I think the Jets, to be honest, I think that's not so great for the Jets. I think the Jets, if they wait around long enough, they think they will get a 2nd to a potential back-end first-round pick. I really believe that.
Right. No, and, I don't disagree.
But 3rd and a 4th, you got 2 picks.
And I don't agree. I mean, I do agree with you. I'm sorry. I do agree with you because look at 2 years ago when he went down, Bridgewater, what Sam Bradford, the Eagles, got for Sam Bradford from the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, no.
Because of desperation is the best tool.
Right, especially when there's a team. The Bucs, it would be tough for the Jets because the Bucs aren't going anywhere. But if there's a team out there that actually, like a Denver was last year, that's dying for a quarterback that can play 500 football, they might budge. Yeah. So breaking away from football a little bit, we do need to get back to some baseball. The races are heating up. Let me ask you this. We've talked about it before. The Yankees were down big, 10.5 games. As we play tonight, it's only 6. Is the AL East over still, or do the Yankees actually have a chance?
Absolutely not. Because for you older folks out there, I think you remember a year of 1978. And the Red Sox were up on the Yanks by 14 games going into August. And let's just say they call him Bucky effing Dent down there because the conclusion of all of this was the Yankees eventually tied it up. They played a 1-game playoff game. And you all remember it, the highlights, when you see that ball going by the Sitco sign, Yankees won, got into the playoffs. And I believe, yes, is it over? Absolutely not. Yogi says it's not over till it's over. And I believe the Yanks do got a shot. But you got to take care of these cupcake matchups. You know, you tonight we're playing the Chicago White Sox 3 games, and then we're playing Detroit Tigers. Come on,
we've got to go at least 5-2 in those games.
5-2. How about 6-0?
Well, it would be 7-0.
7-0. Yeah, are you kidding me? Come on.
Well, I'm not gonna. The only reason I don't say they just took 4 from the Orioles. I'm not gonna say they're gonna win 11 in a row.
Well, you know what? At this point, they gotta, because if they want to stay in contention, I knew for a fact Boston wasn't gonna stay that octane. But what I knew what was going to happen was they're going to have their moment like we've had ours. But are we going to capitalize? Are we going to take advantage of it?
You know what the great Dean Nannis is over here giving us the thumbs up.
The guy is playing spoiler. Right. I mean, if they played the Yankees and the Red Sox every day, they'd be like 100 games.
Right. Well, it's ironic. If we looked at all the matchups going into it, we would have said yesterday that when Snell was pitching that that's the best chance they have to win.
Yeah.
No way on God's green earth were we going to say that the Tampa Bay Rays were going to completely shut them down. The games weren't really even close.
Right. And we got to give some props to the Rays. I mean, I've said before, and I've always mentioned to D many a times, that the Rays are up and coming. And not to get too down on yourself, I know, they sell on players after their third year of arbitration and they're looking to the future and they're saving on money. But you know what? Better is coming over their horizon. They're getting a new stadium in, I believe, 2021. Better things are happening. You got young players in the young Dominican kid at short, Willie Adames. You got Jake Bowers. You got Snell. You got Brett Honeycutt coming from Tommy John surgery next year. So you got pieces to build around.
Yeah,
and I believe when you're in that kind of spot, like the Phillies were last year, and they're continuing to be, then it becomes an add-on thing. And I believe they will be in serious contention next year.
Right.
Especially with their forward thinking of using the pitching. Because I think that's where the league is heading.
Right. The only thing I'm concerned about for the Rays are these guys have shown talent. Kiermaier has been around for a little bit while, but Bowers has shown some talent.
Joey Mendel.
Wendell's been pretty good.
Mendel.
Willie Adames has been pretty good. CJ Cron has been a godsend for them. He's got 20. Do these guys take a step?
Yeah.
Rhys Hoskins has taken a step from last year. They brought Carlos Santana in. Cesar Hernandez is playing some of the best baseball he's ever played. So I just worry about the Rays there. But if we're going back to the original question, is the AL East wrapped up? I think it is still.
Wow. 6 games, Rick. They have a bad week. We have a good week. It's tied.
I understand, but I just like the Red Sox team overall.
And you're not worried about Sale.
I'm not.
He's with the shoulder.
He's always been limited towards the end, so they know the playoffs are coming. I'm not concerned yet. So moving forward, a team that stayed hot since the All-Star break, Oakland Athletics. I mean, they were tied with the Houston Astros for the lead. Why does no one talk about them?
I mean, I guess
is it just
because
a
they're
West
the
Coast
Oakland.
thing?
Yeah, it's a West Coast thing. They don't get any recognition. They're the Oakland A's. I would say that they are the better version of the Rays right now. If you look at it, they have the same kind of team, home run bound. They're playing that pitching analytical way of doing things. So I believe the Oakland A's just don't get any publicity is because they just don't have any names. They have an up-and-coming third baseman, Matt Chapman. I mean, you got one of the best first basemen in Matt Olson.
Matt Chapman's good down on the other hot corner, too.
Right. So, I mean, you got guys that can hit the ball out. And let's not forget about Chris Davis, who the guy's pumping out 40-plus home runs a year, and nobody gives him.
Yeah, he's the home run leader right now.
We brought this segment up just because, we like to give a little love to the teams that, deserve it. I mean, Yankees and Red Sox, of course, deserve it. And, never, the Nationals or the Mets right now. But teams that deserve it, the Oakland A's deserve it. A guy like Jed Lowry, been there forever. Then you got the pitchers, Familia coming over. That's a nice little team. I like them. And in a one-game playoff game, again, if I'm the Yanks, I'd rather play them than Houston because nobody wants to see Verlander and Garrett Cole coming out of the bullpen.
I would also trust the Houston Astros more. They've been there before. They've done it. The Astros just feel like a team that's kind of like just get us in.
Right.
And we'll get things
And the
going.
Astros have won in New York before. Oakland is coming from,
Yeah. Speaking of the Astros, tonight is the first time since June 25th, George Springer, Jose Altuve, and Carlos Correa will be back in the lineup.
Right.
It changes, right? And that people are like, what's going on with the Astros? They haven't been healthy. They're finally getting healthy. Keuchel's getting back on the right track. Charlie Morton's still been pretty good. Hopefully they get McCullers back soon. Their biggest miss was really Ken Giles. I mean, they had to ship him off, but the kid Rondon's done okay.
How's Ozuna doing?
Ozuna's been okay. His biggest thing, again, was off the field. So
domestic
violence. If you ask me why people aren't talking about the Oakland A's, it's because they remind you of Moneyball a little bit. Yeah. Chris Davis was kind of like the lone soldier in Minnesota, in Milwaukee.
Right.
Jed Lowry's having the best season of his career, similar to Nick Markakis in the other division. No one knew about Matt Chapman except for Nolan Arenado. Actually, they played at the same high school. Matt Olson, no one knew what he was going to provide. Their pitching has been pretty good. Brett Anderson's been good for them. Manaya's been the one consistent for them the entire season. Edwin Jackson, he's come out of nowhere for his 40,000th team that he's pitched for. So they just have these plug-in guys that have been pretty good for them. Guys like Josh Fegley, guys that you've never even heard about. And Blake Trinan has been unbelievable for them at the back.
Top 3 closer this year.
Familia's the one who's been struggling for them. But Blake Trinan, once he gets in the game, it's really been, if I want to put top 3 closers, it would be Edwin Diaz. I'd probably go Kimbrel. And then Trinan, or maybe Sir Anthony. From Philly. Dominguez from the Phillies. But you can't fault anyone for putting Trinan third. So I just think a combination of them. Everyone thought it was the Astros division, and them being out west, it's just not.
How about the Nationals? Do they miss Trinan or what?
The Nationals, coming into the season, they were one of the most talented teams. It's very discouraging. Daniel Murphy, how many teams were able to get a guy that no matter what team he went on, the guy would be hitting third? Except for the Yankees and Red Sox, he hits third in every lineup. Realistically, right? Because Chris Bryant's been struggling. They've hit Rizzo in the leadoff spot. Schwarber's not what we thought he would be. I think he's been a little bit of a downtick. Javier Baez has been the one amazing bright spot for that team. So just the Nationals of Kelvin Herrera went down with an injury the other day.
They're done. They're done.
They've been a mess.
The Phillies and Atlanta in that division. So, folks, it's time for the mailbag segment. And we got Jeff from New Jersey and his fantasy team. So we're going to try to analyze this. I have the 9th pick in my 3-team keeper draft. And I don't pick again till round 5. So I guess he gave up his picks as being
Jeff, first of all, what are you doing? I hope you won the league giving up all those picks.
Well, I like how he didn't say he won the league, so I guess
we're going to assume Jeff didn't win the league. So you're picking in the first, Jeff, if we got this correct, you're picking in the first round. You're missing out on 2, 3, 4.
Jesus.
And then you pick again in the 5th. Jeff, good luck to you this year. If you make the playoffs, Jeff, congratulations. Because this is going to be tough.
So, with that 9th pick, I mean, he put down some names to consider, because he's looking at his draft board.
But I'm looking at these names. He should be able to get better players than this.
Well, it's a keeper draft. It's a 3-team keeper draft. So take.
I missed that. So when Dean Nanis was talking, all right, fine. So realistically, we're picking guys from like 21 to 30.
Right. Well, because you're actually picking in the 4th round as your first round. It's a 3-team keeper. So the
31 to 40. I'm sorry.
Rounds 1, 2, and 3 are his keepers, whoever they are.
So who would you pick? Let's read off the names: Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, who's his teammate, Derrick Henry, Royce Freeman, and Rex Burkhead. How about you give us your guy, and then you give us an order where you would go from best to worst.
My guy right here has got to be Stephon Diggs. I mean, considering who he has, I don't know who he has, but just going off of a value standpoint, I think Diggs will get you the best return. Because also, too, when you think about these players that you're taking in the draft, anyone, you have to think, well, who is the players that he has around him? He finally has a better quarterback in Kirk Cousins who could get him. We think. So, everything is always speculation. If Diggs is taken, I go straight to Adam Thielen, the next best option. And after that, I'm going Royce Freeman because Royce Freeman's the hot talk. I believe they want to run the ball, establish the run in Denver with Case Keenum. And then last, I'm going Rex Burkhead.
Over Derrick Henry?
Yes, because I believe this is a half-point PPR. D-Nan has got to get me the script here. Yes, it's a half-point PPR. So I'd go Burkhead just for the mere fact that Derrick Henry is more touchdown dependent.
I'm with you, except towards the end. I'm with Stephon Diggs first. Right, go to his teammate Adam Thielen second. Royce Freeman third, but I'm going to go Derrick Henry
over Burkhead.
Over Burkhead for the mere fact that I know Derrick Henry will get touches.
I'm just worried about Dion Lewis,
with Burkhead.
No. I'm worried about Dion Lewis with Derrick Henry. That's why.
Oh, you're saying okay.
Right.
So you're saying that now Rex Burkhead with Dion Lewis gone he might. Okay. So
might take touches away from Freeman. Burkhead has Sony Michel, who I don't think is in favor of Belichick right now.
Right, I don't think he is.
And who are you worrying about? James White? I mean, come
on. He's more of a pass catcher.
Right. So I'm going.
So you'll go. I just think Derrick Henry provides. I think Dion Lewis will be more of that scat back. Mm-hmm. But first and second down, if they're running it, Derrick Henry will get it. He showed some flashes. But I think Royce Freeman, out of those three running backs, is the safest one. But I think we agree that Stephon Diggs is the first guy to get if he's available.
Right, and also don't keep in mind you come back in that 5th round, which is really a 8th round pick. I'm targeting a guy it might be a little bit too early, maybe 2 rounds too early, but I'm targeting a guy like a Christian Kirk. Guys that I know are going to play in a slot. Maybe an Adam, what's his name? On Miami now. Danny Amendola. Now, you might look at me and say, well, Puma, what are you doing with Danny Amendola? Well, also, you have to look at the team he's on. Who else are they throwing out? They're not throwing a Devontae Parker. He's like trash time. And, okay, Kenny Stills takes off the top. Someone has to take those over-the-middle targets. And I believe Danny Amendola, who showed he just got a touchdown the other day, is going to be their slot guy.
Yeah, no, I'm on board with that. Yeah, for Jeff, we're just throwing a few names out there for you. You're in a tough spot, honestly, to begin with anyway.
Next time, don't sell all your picks, bro.
Yeah. If you didn't win, you made a mistake. And if you did win, make sure you tell Dean Annis next time so we can congratulate you more than anything else.
We'll send you a JFP Sports t-shirt.
Right, exactly. Yeah, if you won, give us some certification, and we'll hook you up. But yeah, no, that's a good pick. If there's a name to get out there, I would throw out Trey Burton if you can get him.
That's a great name.
Good tight end. He won't be obviously anyone's keepers though. If you can maybe get him towards 6th, 7th, 8th round, give him a look.
Yeah. Okay. So ending the show, please subscribe to JFP Sports on YouTube channel. We also will answer your questions on air at JFP Sports on IG. Please DM us. So, in the words of the great Dr. Seuss, don't cry because it's over, smile because it happened. Thank you, folks. Till next time.